Hi and welcome to another Blender tutorial. This time it's about the grease pencil and using edit mode and sculpt mode with the grease pencil. So what I'm going to do first is just jump over to object mode and add a grease pencil monkey. So I have something to play with. I'll go ahead and zoom in on that monkey. And now we'll head over to sculpt mode. In sculpt mode, by default, when you start sculpting, you can potentially change everything about your drawing. That's not always what you want. Sometimes you want to change a very targeted object. And the way to do that is to use one of your select modes up here, either vertices, whole stroke, or stroke between two other objects. And then, let's see, do I have anything? No, I don't even have anything set up for that one right now. I'll use the whole stroke. Then you have to manually choose a selection mode, like C for circle select, or B for box select. And now when you sculpt, you're only going to affect the thing that you have selected and nothing else. Very, very useful. Let's go ahead and get out of that. Let's jump over to edit mode, where we're also going to need circle select and box select for a lot of the things I want to do. If you press A, you can select everything, of course. G will allow you to move it. S would allow you to scale it. R would allow you to rotate it. None of that has changed. But in addition, let's say you wanted to put part of this monkey on a different layer than you initially drew it on. Well, one way to do that, let's go ahead and deselect a bunch of this, and I'll just go into circle select, and I'll grab that eye and that eye right there. I think I got it. I might have got too much. That's okay. It'll work for the demonstration. With those things selected, I am going to just press M, and a new dialog pops up, and I can move it to another layer, and the little pencil shows you which layer you're currently on, or I can move it to a new layer. I'm just going to press escape and not actually bother to move that. Another thing you can do, I'm going to go to Vertex Select now so I can actually see the vertices that I'm working with. I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to double tap A here, and I will just try to get one of those vertices and another one here on the end. If I wanted to fill this gap, I could just press F, and it's going to draw a line in there for me and automatically fill the gap. Other things you can do in here, of course, copy, paste, and duplicate all work. So if I zoom back out, I'll go to stroke select. I tend to work with that more. I can, let's say, circle select the mouth for some reason, and then I can just copy. So either Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac or a PC, and then paste. And remember, when you paste, it goes right on top of where it was. Now G to move it, and I could do that over and over. I could also just use Shift D for a duplicate, which has the move built in, which is kind of nice. Okay, another thing you can do, what if when you drew this you thought those strokes were going to be about the right size, you were happy, but now you've changed your mind and you would like your strokes to be a different size? Well, let's go ahead and select all my strokes here, or you can select just the stroke you want to work with, and you can press Alt S, and when you do, move your mouse, and now you can change the size of the stroke that was used to draw that shape. And you can even do that between multiple frames. So let me go ahead and start a new one here real quick, because this monkey's getting a little distorted. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just throw in a new monkey. So I'm going to go back to object mode, add a grease pencil monkey. I am going to come down here to the keyframes. I'm going to duplicate that keyframe, and I'm going to move another frame away, or let's say 100 frames away. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this keyframe, and I'm going to modify this monkey. So with that keyframe selected, let's go over here to this monkey. Let's go into sculpt mode. Let's go ahead and select everything. Oops, sorry, that's supposed to be edit mode. Let's select everything and press Alt S. We'll make this very large, very stylized. I will now go back. Actually, no. Let's go check out frame 1. Okay, so you can see the difference. Frame 1, frame 100. Now I'm going to show you one more useful tool. If you have two different frames and you want this to be animated. You want it to change over time, but you don't want to have to go in and fill each one of these with a manual keyframe. Then let Blender do it for you. As long as the two shapes are similar enough in the lines and the geometry that they use, Blender can figure out what every frame should look like in between to make it look like this by the time we get to frame 100. So all you have to do in edit mode again is go up to this Interpolate menu and choose Sequence. And notice all the keyframes that just appeared. What happened is Blender just drew a frame in between every one of those other frames to make this a nice smooth animation. So if we reduce our animation length to 100, and now just play, hello play, there we go, you can see that our stroke is changing slowly over time. If we undo that, and so we are back down to just the two monkeys that are, I believe, identical at this point. Oh, nope, that one's not identical. Let's go back to frame 100. My computer's struggling a little bit here. I guess it's frame 99. Let's do Alt-S. And hello, Alt-S. My computer's struggling a lot. There we go. Pull that back down so that monkey's a little bit more similar. I'm going to jump into the sculpt mode, and I will not bother with limiting my brush. I'll just change the head here a little bit. I need a bigger brush for this. Alright, that's going a little bit faster. Great. So our monkey is apparently going to school, and he's getting much smarter. His brain is swelling. Smooth that out a little bit. Okay, so our monkey is smarter at this point, and I would like Blender to figure out how to do that over time. So I'm going to make sure I'm somewhere in between these two frames. I'm going to go back to edit mode, and I'm going to hit interpolate. Now if you just do the one interpolation, you can move your mouse freely and see how Blender plans to make that change, and then you can produce one frame. I'm not going to do that. I want the entire sequence created at once. So there we go. And I'll set this back to 100 so it will loop nicely, and just play. And you can see that stroke growing over time. Now I didn't make sure that the fill was going to change because I don't believe I actually selected it. So that is something that didn't follow along, but with a little bit more work and preparing, I could have made that follow along too. So that's going to be it for your video today. I can hear the fans on my computer kicking in. It's saying, okay, I'm working too hard playing this animation and recording the screen at the same time. So there's more grease pencil, there's sculpting mode, there's edit mode, and how to have a little bit more control and power when using those features.